Welcome to the Enigmatic Abyss, the channel where we explore hauntings, disappearances, and enigmas which elude a modern understanding. Get your favorite snack and settle in. Today, we will look at the enigmatic mystery of the haunting of the Rogue Valley. A brief history of the Rogue Valley. The Rogue Valley has been home to indigenous peoples for thousands of years, with archaeological evidence suggesting habitation for at least 15,000 years. The valley was originally inhabited by the Shasta, Takelma, and Rogue River Athabascan tribes. In the early 19th century, European Americans began to pass through the valley. The early fur traders named the river of the Rogues, and white settlers began to arrive after the Donation Land Act of 1850, which allocated land to each married couple. Between 1836 and 1856, the valley was the scene of the Rogue River Wars, a series of conflicts between European Americans and the Rogue River tribes. In 1850, gold was discovered on the Rogue River, and the following year, gold was found in the nearby mountains. This led to the first gold rush in Oregon, with early mining activity centered on the lower Rogue River and the town of Jacksonville. The haunting. In the winter of 2019, Bishop and exorcist James Cloud was called in to address a severe haunting which was occurring with a family in the Rogue Valley. The family had recently moved from the Blackfeet Reservation in Montana to their new home in southern Oregon. The family had reported that they had experienced a severe haunting on the old reservation and had moved to Oregon to get away from that place. They explained that in their old house their children were being targeted at night by malevolent spirits. The children would see a shadowy man in a cowboy hat with red eyes every night. The children would also be scratched violently in their beds and reported voices violently using profanity at them. The family's torture continued once they moved to southern Oregon and the paranormal activity increased dramatically. It seemed that whatever was torturing the children had followed them to their new home. Unbeknownst to the family, the house that they moved into sat directly on an old train stop which was part of a railway which started near Medford to the distant Oregon coast. This railway serviced the miners and businesses which transported their goods from the coast to distant ports of call. The family was located in the middle of the railway route. Historical records regarding the name of the train stop could not be found, but they did confirm that on the property, several Old West buildings once stood there. The train stop included 2 saloons, a house of ill repute, a general goods store and a livery stable. On the property, a gnarled ancient oak tree stands as a silent witness to the horrors and tragedies which occurred at the location. The current buildings included the home, a workshop, fenced pastures and a barn. On the night of October 13, 2019, the exorcist arrived with his exorcism team to validate and expunge the entities which had made their home among the living. Upon their arrival, the exorcist sensed a heavy darkness with a strong presence that seemed to permeate the property as a whole. His attention was first drawn to the old oak tree in front of the home. As he examined the tree, his mind was filled with images of blood and bodies hanging from the tree. He backed away somberly and turned to see hundreds of shadowy spirits running back and forth around the property. The exorcist then moved into the old workshop, which was about 20 feet from the old oak tree. Inside the workshop was old automotive repair equipment and odds and ends, which the family reported were there when they moved in. Upon entry, the exorcist was greeted by the apparition of the old owner in work clothes, with the name Bill on an old patch over his left breast. The apparition smiled and asked the exorcist to please release him from the property. After a moment, the exorcist granted absolution to the spirit. Afterward the spirit walked into the darkness, never to be seen or felt again. Next, the exorcist entered the home of the family. Upon entry, the exorcist noted that the cabinets in the kitchen were flying open and slamming shut on their own repeatedly. An eerie voice growled out from somewhere deeper within the home, threatening the exorcist and his team. A loud crash from the living room alerted the exorcist, and he hurriedly walked in to see what had happened. A crystal vase was thrown from a coffee table into the far wall about 20 feet. The shattered pieces of the vase lay scattered on the floor, and the owners let out a collective gasp at the sight. As the owners began to clean the shattered vase, the exorcist kept exploring the master bedroom. On the floor of the master bedroom, the exorcist observed the apparition of a dead body situated between the bedroom and the attached bathroom. The exorcist splashed holy water on the apparition and it immediately disappeared. Once the walkthrough of the home was completed, the exorcist excused himself to pray alone outside. Once outside, the exorcist was approached by the famed Hat Man with glowing red eyes. The exorcist stood up and faced him and commanded the spirit to leave the home. The Hat Man slowly turned around and walked away into the field and disappeared. The exorcist, now ready for battle, turned his attention to the home, oak tree and fields on the property. He systematically blessed and exorcised the property. During the blessing of the property, the atmosphere grew lighter and less heavy. Finalizing the blessing and exorcism of the property, the exorcist gave a final exhortation to avoid doing anything which may invite the spirits back into the home or onto the property. The current fate of the family is unknown at this time. What do you think was the cause of the haunting? Write it in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more enigmatic stories.